Before everything, before the stars and the galaxies, before the planets and the mountains, before the first living cell and before the first thought, there was a question. A question asked by no one because there was no one to ask it. A question woven into the very fabric of existence. The greatest, most terrifying, and most astonishing question of all: why is there something rather than nothing? Welcome to Cogitoski, your quiet space where the depth of philosophy and the clarity of logic meet the serenity of nature. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, because today, we are not embarking on an ordinary adventure. We are embarking on the ultimate adventure. We will stand on the edge of existence, stare into the absolute abyss of non-existence, and ask the question that has haunted philosophers, scientists, and prophets since the dawn of consciousness. Stop for a moment. Look around you. Look at your hands, at the screen you're watching, at the room you're in. All of this is something. You are something. The entire universe, in all its staggering complexity, is a colossal something. But why? Why all this trouble? Wouldn't it have been easier, more logical, for there to be nothing at all? Nothing seems simple, stable, and requires no explanation. It is the default state. Something, on the other hand, is a bizarre and incredibly complex exception. Our very existence is the strangest fact in the universe. This question is not just an intellectual exercise. It strikes a sensitive chord deep within our consciousness. Today, we will explore three major attempts to answer this enigma: the answer of physics, the answer of metaphysics, and the answer of existential philosophy. And at each station, we will see how the idea of something spontaneously emerging from nothing faces nearly insurmountable obstacles. First station: the answer of physics. Nothing isn't what you think it is. Let's start with science, where the answer seems to be within reach. When we ask a quantum physicist, how can something come from nothing? They might reply, because what you imagine as nothing doesn't really exist. In quantum physics, a vacuum is not empty. It is the quantum vacuum, a roiling sea of energy and fluctuations, where virtual particles pop into existence and disappear in fractions of a second. The theory suggests our universe might just be one of these quantum fluctuations that expanded on a massive scale. Physicist Lawrence Krauss argues that the total energy of the universe is zero, which means it could emerge from this quantum vacuum without violating the laws of energy conservation. It seems we have found the solution. The universe came from a physical nothing. But let's pause and think more deeply. Is this truly nothing? For the quantum vacuum to work, it needs two fundamental things: a space or a quantum field in which to fluctuate, and fixed, precise physical laws, like quantum mechanics and relativity, to govern these fluctuations and allow particles to emerge. So we didn't start from an absolute nothing. We started from something incredibly complex, a pre-existing integrated system of physical laws and a quantum field. The question now shifts from, how did the universe come from nothing, to a deeper, more awkward question for science: where did these physical laws and this quantum field come from? These laws are not just simple rules. They are astonishingly fine-tuned. If the force of gravity were slightly weaker, stars and galaxies would never have formed. If the strong nuclear force were slightly stronger, all the hydrogen in the universe would have burned up in seconds. This fine-tuning of the laws looks like a recipe written with extreme care to create a universe that allows for life. So, science hasn't solved the mystery. It has only pushed it one step back. It has taken us from the mystery of the universe's existence to the mystery of the existence of the laws that govern it. These laws are not nothing. They are something of a highly informational and organizational nature. The idea that they just existed on their own, out of absolute nothingness, with such complexity and precision, seems like a greater leap of faith than any other. Science describes how the something works, but it stands helpless before the question of why this organized something exists instead of chaos or absolute nothingness. Second station: the answer of metaphysics. Nothing is logically impossible. Here we turn to philosophy, where thinkers like Leibniz and Spinoza tried to solve the puzzle with pure reason. Leibniz proposed the principle of sufficient reason, which states that for everything that exists, there must be a sufficient reason for its existence. The chain of causes cannot go back infinitely, so there must be a first cause that needs no cause, a being that is necessary in itself. This being is the reason for its own existence and the reason for the existence of everything else. This is a powerful argument, as it rejects the idea that the entire universe could just pop into existence without any cause. The idea that something can emerge from absolute nothingness violates the most basic principles of reason. From nothing, nothing comes. This is an intuitive principle. But some philosophers tried to get around this by saying that existence itself is necessary, and that nothingness is logically impossible. But this raises the question, why is existence necessary? And why this specific kind of existence? Why the existence of an ordered universe with precise laws, and not just a formless, chaotic existence? Even if existence is necessary, that doesn't explain why this existence is organized, complex, and life-permitting. It doesn't explain the transition from a simple potential existence to the actual, complex existence of our universe. There seems to be a missing link. Even if existence is necessary, the fact that this existence is organized into a cosmos with a beginning and an end, governed by laws that allow for conscious beings to question their own existence, suggests that this necessary existence is not just a brute fact. It suggests it possesses properties beyond mere being. It points towards a will, an intention, or a choice that selected our ordered universe over billions of other possibilities, or over nothingness. The idea that this incredible organization is the product of blind chance within an unguided, necessary existence defies all logic. Reason tends to assume that a complex system requires a system designer, just as a book requires an author. Third station, the answer of existential philosophy. The question reveals the truth. Finally, we come to the existentialists, who focus on our own experience as conscious beings. They say the universe is silent, and trying to find an external reason is an absurd quest. What matters is that we exist, and we must create our own meaning. But let's contemplate this idea more deeply. The very fact that we exist, are conscious, and are able to ask this question is itself the greatest piece of evidence in the entire case. The universe didn't just produce rocks and stars. It produced beings capable of understanding its laws, contemplating its beauty, and questioning its origin. If the universe were just a random outcome of a quantum fluctuation, or a blind logical necessity, how do we explain the emergence of consciousness? Consciousness, will, and the ability for logical and moral reasoning seem to be properties that cannot emerge materially from the interaction of non-conscious particles. They are something of a completely different nature. The existence of consciousness in the universe flips the table. Instead of us being a mere accidental byproduct of the cosmos, perhaps consciousness is the key to understanding the nature of the source from which the cosmos came. If the effect points to the nature of the cause, then the existence of consciousness will, and intelligence in us as the effect, makes it highly reasonable to assume that the cause or the first source possesses these attributes in a supreme and perfect way. The idea that a non-conscious, non-willing universe accidentally produced conscious, willing beings seems like a statistical miracle of impossible proportions. The more logical and humble idea is that the first source of existence is itself conscious and willing, and that our consciousness is merely an echo or a faint reflection of the nature of that source. So, the question, why is there something rather than nothing, ultimately leads us back to ourselves. We, with our consciousness and our will, are not just a minor detail in the cosmos. We are the greatest clue pointing to the nature of its origin. At the end of this journey, we find that all roads lead to a wall. Science leaves us with the mystery of the laws. Metaphysics leaves us with the mystery of why existence is ordered. And existentialism leaves us with the mystery of the emergence of consciousness. And each time, we find that the idea of something from nothing spontaneously and randomly is an incoherent idea. Whether we start from a quantum vacuum that needs laws, a necessary existence that needs an organizer, or a material universe that needs a source for consciousness, we always arrive at a point where the most rational explanation seems to be the existence of a primary, non-material, eternal principle or entity, possessing the power and the will necessary to choose existence over non-existence. an order over chaos, an entity that is not subject to the laws we know, but is their very source. Perhaps the final answer is not something that can be proven in a lab, but a rational conclusion we reach when we honestly follow the evidence to its logical end. Tell me in the comments, do you think this journey inevitably leads to this conclusion? Or is there another way out that we haven't seen? Thank you for watching, and always remember, the greatest questions are not those we find answers to, but those that forever change us just by being asked. I'll see you in the next episode.